on, everyone? This is Micah Gillette with the Emerald Coast Essentials podcast. Today we're joined by Cole Huffer.
You got it.
Is that right? I nailed it. I'm so good with names. So Cole, you're the owner of, oh man, I'm going to botch the name of your business. Is it the Sound Cafe plus Enlightened Studios, or is it Enlightened Studios and the Sound Cafe?
You got it right. I mean, there's really no wrong answer.
I love it.
The Sound Cafe at Enlightened Studios, Enlightened Studios and the Sound Cafe. Yeah, we're one and the same. Yeah, you nailed it.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm super excited to talk about the studio. I've been there a bunch. I love it. I like going there to hang out, work. There's always cool stuff going on. But before we get into that, I want to get into a little bit about your background, who you are, where you're from, all that fun stuff. So I guess, where were you born and raised?
Yeah, so I was actually born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee, and spent 22 years there before moving here to Florida. More or less, I had this overwhelming fear that I was going to end up in the same hometown doing the same things with the same people, and kind of had a panic attack and left. At that time, GPS wasn't a big thing. This is back in '05. So I drove around with an Atlas in my little Honda Civic, and I knew I wanted to come to Florida, so I just kind of threw my finger down on the map, and Fort Walton Beach was the lucky winner. I packed up mostly clothes. I packed up everything I had, mostly clothes, into my Civic, and drove down here. I landed here on '05, oddly enough.
Nice.
Yeah, and so this is kind of, summer's just kicking off. I had a really difficult time finding a place to stay. So I ended up buying a tent at a Walmart, and for the first month that I was here, I stayed at the Navarre Beach Campground. My first job was a jewelry salesman at Gordon's Jewelers in Santa Rosa Mall, back when it actually felt like a mall.
Yeah.
And yeah, so if you can picture me stepping out of a tent every morning in a 3-piece suit, that's pretty much how I got introduced to Florida life.
That's awesome.
Coming to Tennessee. Yeah.
That's great. I
It's
think.
so funny too, because I wanted to, I was like, heck, I'm moved to Florida. I'm living in a tent. I'll pick up a fishing pole and some bait, and I'm catch my first dinner as well. And I bought some shrimp, bought a pole, didn't catch a damn thing. Ended up eating the shrimp that I had got at bait. And yeah, that was my first night here in Florida, and then that lasted about 30 days before living out of that tent before I finally got my first place.
All right. So you had a midlife crisis at 22. You abandoned everything from your hometown, and you were homeless for a month. We got that far. No, that's really cool, man. I know, obviously, your business now. You do music plus a whole bunch more. That makes sense coming from Nashville. Having a love and a passion for music. Did you study music or anything there? Or was there any catalyst, or was it just?
No, I mean, I was very much an artist all around from as long back as I can remember, but first it started with more of acting and theater. I did 4 years of theater in high school, 13 plays, 3 musicals. But, in that time frame, music, although I never went to school for it, I loved playing, I loved, creating and, learning how to, engineer on a personal level. It wasn't until I decided to leave the corporate world until I went to Northwest Florida State College for their music production and business courses there. And that is when I kind of got, I guess, some sort of college education for the industry I wanted to be in.
Right.
But yeah, most of it, as far as learning, and it was very organic. It was just playing with friends, recording with friends. It wasn't really until I decided that it was a Mark Cuban quote that really pushed me. I mean, something along the lines of you can work 40 years of your life for someone else just to enjoy the last 10, or you can really just work your ass off for 10 years for yourself so you can enjoy the last 40. So I'm about 8.5 years into this project. So that's why you hear me talk, I'll say 2025 a bunch, because that's kind of like my time horizon of when I'd like to, say, okay, I've kind of achieved something to a point where I've built it big enough to where I can, step away a little bit. But uh, it's been a challenging road, especially considering the industry that we're in, and having have dealt with the pandemic a few years ago. But and everybody just assumes when you're a small business owner that you're just loaded, wealthy, and living the high life. And I'll tell you right now, since leaving the corporate world, I make half as much of what I ever made, and I work twice as much to earn that. And I
Yeah.
think that's part of it. And
Yeah.
obviously, we've seen that growth even through something such as the pandemic, and the data doesn't lie. We have grown, and the longer we're here, the more people find out about us, and it's typically word of mouth or people stumbling into our space for us to make a new customer, because we're just so unique. We're a very multi-faceted business with many different things going on underneath one roof. So yeah, we tried to find something business model wise that was comparable to ours, and we couldn't find one. So this is a very, very unique thing that we've got going on here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I personally I've been there a bunch and can absolutely attest to that. I'm sure you do even more than I know about, but you got a coffee cup that's clearly from your studio in the foreground. You got art in the back, and I can hear someone jamming on a guitar just ever so slightly in the background there, which is perfect. It's a perfect ad. So what is it that you guys do there? Obviously I can go on about it, but
Yeah.
what all do you
So
do?
Enlightened Studios originally started out of my house in February 2015 as a recording studio out of my dining room. And about 9 months into that, uh, so this is while I was actually in school at Northwest Florida State College, and I was so moved by how incredible their music production program was and how more people didn't know about it. And that is when I got into video, capturing artists in their most real state and doing live recordings. I just fell in love with video. I love, being able to represent. I mean, we do mostly artists, but I mean, we also do video marketing for small businesses, real estate, nonprofits, yeah, even weddings and events. So everything kind of blossomed for the business the moment that video became part of it. It's very comparable to think about a song that you love and you've heard it 100 times, and then you see the music video and it's like you just heard it all over again. It's kind
Yeah.
of that mentality behind the emotion. And yeah, once video was kind of became a main core foundation for the business, uh, the growth over the next 3 years was enough to want me to try to do something bigger. And in order to do that, probably the most difficult decision I'd ever made, so 2018, I sold my home, my Jeep, cashed out all my retirement, any savings, uh, sold all my digital assets, my cryptocurrencies, and dumped it into this thing. And so that was January 2018. And yeah, it's been quite a feat. It's still a challenge. But for me, challenge equals growth and wisdom. That's kind of the benefit of it. So it's only a test. I would say this to myself all the time. And I remember one time coming to this realization that challenges do equal growth and wisdom. So I remember praying for challenges, and
Yeah.
don't ever do that, by the way, because I literally had to like pray and take that back. Like, okay,
Yeah.
okay, I get it.
Less challenge. Less challenge.
Exactly. But I was really hungry for it at that time, and I still do. So when we introduced this space, it was really, really cool because, I mean, we were doing a lot of good for the artist, even just as a home-based business, as far as exposure and getting them, marketable content that they could promote themselves with. But, it didn't make sense to me to just do an audio video production house. I just didn't think that would financially made a lot of sense, So the sound cafe was then created, basically a place of congregation, and following that came events. We don't say no to artists. My parents told me my whole life that I couldn't do anything with art and music. And considering all this, we're in a 4,000 square foot facility now here in beautiful downtown Fort Walton Beach, and we just celebrated our 5-year anniversary. Uh, and all of it is essentially the local talent in this community. Just about all of our decor. We have an event at least once a day, and all this is created by the local talent in our community. So we're essentially yes men to the artist. Uh, so if you want to spot on the wall, you want to play on stage, you want to have a seminar, we make that a reality for our local talent and entrepreneurs. Whatever it is that you're wanting to do, we just want to help you bring that vision to life and find ways to monetize your passions that fall in the art category, and do what most people say you can't, and that's actually produce some sort of income in the art and music field. I think
Yeah.
that is a classic story, as you know, kind of being educated as you're growing up, that there is no life in that industry. So we kind of got to break that mentality here at Enlightened. We've highlighted hundreds of artists. There's a great handful that all they do now is music, or all they do now is art. And we've had many, go to Nashville and expand and do their own thing. It's funny, a lot of them are headed back to where I came from, so that's always a
Yeah.
neat thing. But yeah, and I think we've really, done something special here, and it's just like, I keep talking about like how tough the pandemic was, because it's typically, when there's like budget cuts in school and stuff, what's the first thing to go? Art and music. And
Right.
why that mentality has been a staple, I don't understand, because without art and music, I mean, it would be a very boring life. I mean, everything that we see, I mean, even what we're doing here, this is a form of art, you
Right.
know and people don't really look at it that way. So yeah, I feel real blessed to be able to be in the position that I am, to offer the opportunities that I do. It's very rewarding.
Well, that's awesome, man. I mean, I love your vision and your goals, and where you're taking it. It's absolutely amazing. Having been there a little bit, I've seen you. I don't know if you remember this or not, but for Courtney, when she was starting Fit by Court, you helped her out with a trailer for her business. That still comes up every now and then, and that was really cool. Obviously, we've done homeschool music classes over there that you ran, which was super cool. I know all the kids really enjoyed that. For anyone who is not necessarily running after an art or music career, you also have a great coffee shop there, right?
Yeah, we're the only. Well, first of all, we're local. All our beans are locally roasted, and we're the only late night coffee house in town too. We're open 7 a.m. till midnight every day. Uh, why coffee shops close so damn early, I don't understand. I mean, there's two other shifts in the work world, and some people, need that coffee at 11 p.m. at night. You
Yeah.
know, um, so I mean, it's cool, yeah, because originally, this space was supposed to be, aside from being able to offer opportunities when it comes to, like you said, the people that aren't the artists. That's where the entertainment really comes into play. We do have something new every day that people can come and be a part of, and it's a healthy alternative for families as far as things do. We've got a library in the back, we've got record player and 2 boxes of vinyl. We've got a whole bunch of board games. There's an art center if you want to color and draw. We have a Netflix station. There's just so many things that you can do in one space and even catch some entertainment while you're there at the same time, and all while enjoying, delicious coffee. I mean, we don't do hard liquor to keep it family friendly, but we do wine and beer and champagne and things like that as well. And a lot of coffee alternatives like tea and the mushroom coffees and the chai and the matcha. So yeah, we got a little bit of everything for everyone. It's been a beautiful thing to develop that. I spent a lot of time in the beginning really focused on the artist and the entertainment. That about 3.5 years into it, I'm like, dang, I have totally forgot about I have a coffee shop. Because we'd have people come in for events, and they'd be frequent visitors for our events, and they might be their third or fourth time, and they're like, "Oh, you guys are a coffee house too?" Like, come on. So yeah, it's a very unique concept, and it's taken a little while to get the word out there. We have a new person, at least one a day, that lives in a 2 mile radius that either heard about the place and never walked in, or they've driven by it and just didn't know exactly what we were. A lot of them think we're a music store or an art studio. I mean, and technically no one's ever wrong. I mean, we have so many different things under one roof between the audio production, video production, the food, drink, congregation, entertainment. Yeah, it's kind of your one-stop shop to get a good dose of the local talent and artistry. And yeah, we're very local driven, and it's beautiful to get to impact the community the way that we have. And I really look forward to seeing what the future holds. We're really seeing some cool growth in this last 9 months that kind of shows me that light at the end of my 10-year tunnel. So
Yeah. Nice,
I'm
man.
excited.
Well, if I'll put all your social media stuff, or at least some of it, so if someone is a local artist looking to come out and either do a stand-up comedy set or looking to jam on stage or whatever, they can get a
Oh
hold
yeah,
of you.
bring it on.
Anyone who's not an artist, I highly recommend stopping by. It's in the middle of downtown Fort Walton, so when you're kind of walking through the downtown area, you guys are pretty much like right in the middle. You're right
Yep.
next to the landing is the park that's right behind you. You got a back door you can access from, so you don't have to walk around the building.
Yep.
It's absolutely an awesome place. All right, so you talked about 2025. You got a 10-year vision that's coming up. You got a year and 4 months. What's the plan?
The last year and a half, I've been really intrigued, not only by economics, but our money system. The digital asset. Blockchain. Oh, sorry about that. Blockchain community, and kind of been taking advantage of this bear market, and I've been investing in things such as Bitcoin and Ethereum, and so my time horizon for that, yeah, it's cool because it coincidentally times out with the 10-year mark from where I started, because we've officially pulled out of this bear market. We've just started the bull run, and typically they last for about 18 months. So this puts me about in 2025, and that'll be a good time for me to cash out some things so I can get my house back. Remember, I sold that guy to do all this, so I would really love to get that back, and then hopefully one day purchase my own commercial building to where I can do what I want. We are very unique, but there's lots of things that I would do. For example, 18 days after we opened, I was like, how do I get the community to know that I am no longer a home-based business? So I don't know if you remember, but the downtown shutdown. It was the first time in history they shut down Highway 98 here in downtown Fort Walton because they were moving a building across the street. And so we had promoted a show with the band Imogene, and we said that we were going to have a concert in the street. What we didn't tell people is it actually wasn't a concert in the street. I put the band in painter suits, So it looked like people were just working on our roof all day, but in reality, we were setting up for a rooftop performance, very comparable to like the last big Beatles performance that they did. And yeah, and there's 300 people out in the street, and everybody's like, "Where's the music? Where's the music?" And then you just see spotlight, smoke bombs, and then yeah, it was just like the most epic 2-hour concert here in downtown Fort Walton on the roof. Now, it was a huge success. I mean, you just got like the community, the policemen, the firefighters. I mean, they're just having a great old time, and yeah, but not long after, I received 3 cease and desist from the people that own the property in the building. So that was one of those ask for forgiveness instead of permission
That's what I was
things.
just
But
about to say. I love it.
I needed to do something big, and then that was it. So that's kind of how we kicked off our introduction here to downtown Fort Walton Beach and to the community after we got out of the home-based business.
That's awesome, man. I had no idea you guys did that. That's super cool.
Yeah, that was yeah, people still talk it. It was just a really, really cool, very unique event, and it kind of launched, hey, this is who we are and what we're about. And yeah, and the rest is history, and it's still being made.
Cool, man. So your, let's say, 3 to 5 year plan is to eventually, on a personal note, buy your house back, but then trying to buy your own commercial business or property, I should say, so you can do what you want, do more rooftop concerts.
Yeah, I would love to do rooftop concerts. I would love to be able to have a drive-through, since we do food and drink. I would love to have like a rooftop garden. I'd love to have my own bakery here so we could do our own baked goods as opposed to, having to have somebody else do it. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I, want to do. It just takes a little time, money, and patience.
That's awesome, man. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. I really appreciate your time coming on. It's always great talking to you and seeing you, Cole. I hope this, everyone found this super informative. But before I let you go, I got to ask, what are your Emerald Coast essentials? If you're talking to someone that's going to be here for 24 hours and they say, hey, where do we have to go while we're here? What are you telling them?
Well, I always start with our place first, mainly
Obviously.
because we have. Well, it's great because the people that find us on the last day of their vacation are super bummed, uh, and the ones that find us on the first day of their vacation, we see them every day. And
Yeah.
that's because every night we've got a different type of event going on. So, other than that, obviously the beach. I mean, the beach is just. I mean, I've got friends that live all over the world, and I think hands down, it's pretty unanimous that we have the most beautiful beaches
Yeah.
here on our Emerald Coast. And I love, I don't get out too much. I'm up here quite a bit, but I love going to Ferry Park. I love playing some disc golf with friends and family. And the new little, my son, he's a gamer. I just recently discovered Rad Bar. You've been to Rad Bar, but it's
I
like,
have.
it's $10 to get in, and you get to play unlimited games. Another great, cool family thing that they have here in town as well.
Yeah, that is a really cool spot. I actually just went there for the first time, and it was a lot of fun. The Rad Bar is definitely worth checking out. How about where did you say you stayed? The Navarre Beach Campground.
Yeah, no,
What
I mean
about that?
it's still alive and kicking. No, they
There we
definitely.
go.
I mean, they accommodated me. I was 22 at the time, and they're still rocking. And there's a Walmart built across the street now. It wasn't there when I moved here. I had to go all the way to Gulf Breeze to get my tent. So now you can get all your fishing poles and your tent supplies right across the street from Navarre Beach Campground.
All right. Anyone looking to pick a spot on the map and move down, the Navarre Beach Campground is going, and Walmart is conveniently located across 98 for all your camping/homelessness needs. All right, Cole. Well, I appreciate it again. Thanks very much for your time, and we'll talk soon, buddy.
My pleasure. Have a good one. Bye, guys.
See ya.